Several months have passed, and the political climate in Europe has reached the boiling point. An Austro-Hungarian politician, very prominent, has been assassinated, and the French have been blamed for the incident. France's response was to declare war on Austria-Hungary. This puts us into a difficult position. Austria-Hungary is not formally our ally, but our closest friendly country on the mainland of Europe. The British, at the same time, are not particularly in favor of us or Austria-Hungary either. So if we were to declare war on France, there's a chance that the British will seize that opportunity to join the war on the side of the French, despite the previous incidents around Belgium. This is a risk that we might have to take, but for now we will observe from the sidelines how the war is progressing. This has, however, put any plans that we had to refit our existing fleet on hold, because we will need to ensure that we are ready to assist, if necessary, against the French and potentially also the British. To that regard, we will be moving our forces from the Baltic Sea into the North Sea to make sure that we have sufficient naval strength available if in the eventuality that we are getting involved in this war. The Schleswig-Holstein and her escort are still on the return from the Mediterranean operations against the Ottoman Empire, and as it stands are not in a capacity to lend any assistance against the French fleet, because most of the French forces are in the south of France and present in the Mediterranean. As such, we will concentrate our fleets around Wilhelmshaven and Emden and get ready for an intervention if it becomes necessary. The first naval clashes between the Austro-Hungarian Navy and the significantly larger French Navy seem to have gone in the favor of the Austro-Hungarians. We have not yet observed any operations on land, but the British Admiral has definitely shown to be in favor of France and again has spoken out against Austria-Hungary. The King of Britain is the cousin of the Kaiser and may or may not have enough political power to prevent war here. We have to be prepared in either direction. In the light of this new development, we have decided to build another set of 5 V-16 class destroyers, just to make sure that we will be able to replenish any kind of losses in any upcoming conflict. A battle group of the Austro-Hungarian Empire has been sighted in the Channel, consisting of 1 battleship, 1 battle cruiser, 6 heavy cruisers, 1 light cruiser and 3 destroyers. They clearly want to threaten the French on their northern coast, but this is an extremely risky maneuver, as it means that potentially the British will take offense of that intrusion as well, and it looks like the conflict between the nations might be extended. We have concentrated 6 battleships, 1 battle cruiser, 2 light cruisers, 3 destroyers, and some mine-laying submarines along our coastlines on the North Sea in Emden, as well as a second battle group from the Baltics that has been moved to Wilhelmshaven. We've got some more submarines operational in the area. We are ready to defend our trade routes and our prerogative within the North Sea if necessary. The Spanish Empire has decided to attack Morocco. This intervention has caused some major disturbances, both between France, the Austro-Hungarians, and us. Our politicians have reacted very negatively. Spain might be yet another power that we need to keep an eye on. Meanwhile, we have been approached by French politicians, and they have done what they could to limit the chance that the German Empire would enter the war on the side of the Austro-Hungarians. The French are well aware that they cannot fight these 2 powers on the European continent both at once. As always, the decision over war and peace lies within our political leadership. The Navy is ready to fight if it is needed. A worrying incident has happened in the North Sea. One of our ships has collided with a British destroyer during bad weather and due to the aggressive positioning of the British crew. This has the potential to spiral yet another major international incident, but we will not back down, and the responsibility for this is firmly within the incompetence of the British crew that has neglected to sail under the correct weather conditions. It has been brought to my attention that several of our shipbuilding industries are constructing warships, or parts of thereof, for third countries. In the current political climate, my opinion is that we are categorically against this practice that would strengthen future rivals. Meanwhile, our alliance with Greece and Persia is increasing, and we are starting to build ships for their navy since they don't have the capacity to do that themselves. We still have available shipbuilding capacity such that we can at least build some smaller forces for them. Our government seems to think that our relationship with Austria Hungary can be maintained at an arm's length. I disagree with that political assessment and will try to use my influence as much as possible to improve relations with the Austro-Hungarians. They really are our only possible allies on the continent in case the war breaks out in a wider scale. Yet my efforts have been rebuffed. The politicians are firmly under the impression that they are alone responsible for international relations, and as such I have been told to have the navy ready whenever the nation needs it. I have decided to petition the Kaiser directly to put his diplomats in their place and ensure that our relations with the Austro-Hungarian Empire don't suffer. This, I feel, has had a positive effect. Meanwhile, Spain has launched a major offensive against the independent state of Morocco in North Africa from their colonial possessions. It looks like they are hell-bent on securing this bridge between their colony and their mainland. Despite the heel-dragging of our diplomats, I have decided to send one of our battle fleets through the English Channel and into the Mediterranean to show our solidarity with our Austro-Hungarian brothers. If this ratchets up tensions to the boiling point, then so be it. We cannot just sit by and watch how France and Britain get ready to dismantle our only ally on the continent. In a major development, the Russian people have risen up against the Tsar. He has been expelled from the country, and the Russian government has been overthrown. What this means for us going forward is not yet clear. A threat to the monarchy is definitely not something we should be tolerating. The Kaiser has decided to sign an alliance with the Austro-Hungarian Empire. This has brought us into the war. One of our fleets is standing in the Mediterranean to assist our Austro-Hungarian allies, while the second fleet is operating in the North Sea to ensure that if the British join, we have at least some defense on our coastlines. As we have feared, the United Kingdom has entered the war on the side of the French. We are now facing off against the strongest navy in the world. Meanwhile, our troops are assaulting France from the east and sending 600,000 troops against the defense of 578,000. Personally, I believe this will be insufficient to cause a major breakthrough on the front, and we will see if we can assist from the sea. The fleet from Emden is going to sail out and position closer to Belgium and at the mouth of the British Channel to see if we can intercept any kind of enemy shipping. The colonial war is heating up. The French are attacking us in Africa together with the British, but by the numbers we should be able to hold these colonies without too much trouble. The same goes in Cameroon. We are sending a significant force into Congo together with an Austro-Hungarian force. Most of these are colonial troops against the Belgian defenders. Meanwhile, on the European front, the war has stabilized. Given the massive numerical superiority on the British and French side, The trenches have been dug, and we're not expecting any major progress on this front anytime soon. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union is slowly starting to gear up against us as well. This is a major problem. We are starting to lay minefields, but we may have to get ready to engage the Soviets as well as the British and the French. Finally, a British task force has decided to give battle. In the North Sea, in November 1911, the Colossus, a Repulse-class battlecruiser, and the Australia, a heavy cruiser, have encountered the Heimdall, the Schleswig-Holstein, both of which are Deutschland-class battleships, which are about half the size of the Colossus. This is going to be a very difficult fight, but our navy is ready to draw first blood. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, where we have a first fleet engagement. We've got the two battle cruisers, technically battle cruisers of the Deutschland class, not particularly modern ships, engaged with a Repulse class battle cruiser on the British side. So right now we've got these two set up in a battle line. We've got one destroyer as we've got the four destroyers set up as a screen. I am actually going to get these two groups to I want these two to form up. Hang on. So we've got the V36 and the V7. Yeah, so we need to change this around. Hang on. So the V7 goes into the other group, and then here the V38 goes into that group. There we go. So we've got V7 and V36 in one group, and they will be. We have spotted smoke, I believe. What was it? North in the west. So these destroyers will turn westwards and begin scouting. The second destroyer group will follow along at a distance, and the main battle line of the Heimdall and the Schleswig-Holstein is going to turn as well, and going to make flank speed at 19 knots to see if we can find the enemy. We have spotted an enemy warship, and by the looks of it, this is the Repulse class battlecruiser. Our destroyers are going to try and engage this ship, but we'll have to be very, very careful to see if we can have some success with torpedo attacks. We are going to send the second destroyer group in as well, and we're going to get the battle cruisers ready to start engaging the ship at long range. We're currently engaging at almost 12 kilometers, so this might be a little difficult to hit. We're yet to identify the ship, but the first action is going to probably be from the destroyers. However, we're not sure if we're spotted yet. We will circle a little bit, and there's the second ship spotted. So both of the British ships are aggressively moving in, and it looks like they're opening up at our battle cruisers. We need to wait for the second destroyer group to make their way over here and get into such that we can get the two into a pincer movement between these, and as such we will do some maneuvers with the friendly destroyers. It looks like the fire so far is directed at the Heimdall and the Schleswig-Holstein. So hopefully we can. And we will try to target the Repulse class, because that is the most dangerous ship out of the two. We will, and it looks like we might be able to get into range for a torpedo drop. We will manually control at which point we are releasing the torpedoes. They have spotted the destroyers. So the V36 is now starting to take fire. But hopefully the second destroyer group, who is on an interception course, can get close enough to launch their torpedoes. It looks like the repulse class, was it Colossus, has noticed the threat, and it seems to be disengaging. The destroyers are now starting to take fire from the cruiser, which is less than ideal. We prefer that not to happen. We still haven't clearly identified the target yet, but the second destroyer group is. We're going to get ready for a torpedo drop. We have actually spotted enemy torpedoes incoming, so we will actually take sharp evasive maneuvers. Detach, and we need to make sure that we are, because these drops might actually hit the destroyers here if we cannot dodge them. Yes, we managed to dodge them. So the cruiser is dangerous and has launched torpedoes. So we will start launching as well. At the same time, the second destroyer group is still on an intercept course, but the repulse class is full on the run. So I am not sure if we can catch them that easily. We will start heading slightly south and we get the battle cruisers to support the other destroyers against the Australia, which is a heavy cruiser. We do need to watch out. We have launched some torpedoes against the Australia, but we do need to watch out. We will lay smoke from both destroyers. We do need to watch out about enemy torpedoes as well. We will take a hard left with the V7, which has taken slight damage, but it looks like the second destroyer group might be able to get a torpedo drop off. We're going to start laying smoke. The V34 has taken some light hits, and we have managed to get a torpedo hit on the Australia, which is great news. The second destroyer is coming in for a run, and V36 can disengage. We'll see if we can get another torpedo drop off from the V7 against that heavy cruiser at point blank range. But it looks like the officers have decided not to launch. The destroyers V34 has taken a harsh hit, so we're going to aggressively launch torpedoes from her, and we're going to give a retreat order, whereas V38 is still giving a stern chase, which is not really going to be successful. An overpenetration has hit V34, and I think we will find that V34 and V7 both probably will not make it out of here. V7 as well, if she can, will try to retreat, but we will get V36. Yeah, V34 has been sunk, and we will at this point disengage from giving chase on the repulse. But we have both. Yeah. This destroyer is lost as well. So V7 is going to sink, probably. We have not managed to get a lot of torpedo hits on, but now it's time for the Deutschland class to show their prowess and to launch a full barrage against that heavy cruiser. Just steady the course, watch for torpedoes, and make something happen. She is already listing, but seems to have taken. That is probably from the previous torpedo hit that we've managed to get on target. But hopefully the guns from these two cruisers can get some hits in and make short work of the Australia. Destroyers. Okay, we've got V36 still. Can try to give chase on the repulse, and V38 we can get where is she? Yeah, we can get these two to actually form up and try to do another torpedo run against the battle cruiser. But much more interestingly at this point, what is the Heimdall and the Schleswig-Holstein are capable of against that heavy cruiser. She doesn't have torpedoes ready by the looks of it, but she's got some 200mm guns, which are probably capable of doing a reasonable amount of damage against our ships. Heimdall has a very good solution with the 213s, and hopefully is slightly better armored. And just the superiority of numbers here might be capable of dealing the blow to this ship. We have to be careful with the battle cruiser, because that is significantly larger than the ships that we are sailing at the moment. That was a good penetrating hit with the fire on the Australia, and she is flooding as well. So hopefully this engagement can be decisive, and we can then concentrate fire onto the enemy battle cruiser. Yeah, the Australia is flooding relatively heavily at this point. The destroyers are where's the repulse going? Not coming near, so the destroyers are probably going to go on an intercept course. And we will keep observing. We are now in an absolutely close range fight between the Heimdall, the Schleswig-Holstein, and that heavy cruiser. But together they should have sufficient firepower to deal a death blow to that ship, which has already been relatively heavily damaged. At point blank range, the guns are hitting hard, and even though the Heimdall has taken some fires on the superstructure, nothing really critically has been damaged. They should be able to finish off this heavy cruiser without too many problems. Yeah, the Australia is sinking, which means that while the Heimdall is getting her, she has taken some damage to the main belt, and is getting her fires under control. We will now start turning the guns around and opening up on the enemy battle cruiser, while we will perform a sharp turn to get to a little closer, and we have the destroyers on an intercept course for the possibility of a torpedo run. The Colossus has 335mm main guns, as well as 200mm secondaries, and a whole smattering of smaller guns. We are starting to take some damage from it, but the Heimdall so far has taken the brunt of the hits, and she is still holding up. The Schleswig-Holstein is mostly undamaged. The Colossus has shifted fire against the V-38. So while our heavier ships are slowly closing in, we are going to have to complete the turn here, which is going to put our guns out of alignment. But the destroyers do not have a favorable angle for a torpedo attack at this point, but might be able to drive off the battle cruiser. At this range, the chance to hit her with the 280mm is almost nothing, and the Colossus is significantly faster than us with almost 30 knots. So if the destroyers cannot catch her, our battle cruisers have old battle cruisers have no way of getting close enough to engage. With the speed, she's able to dictate the engagement pretty much. The destroyers are firing their 105mm. These are V-38 and V-36 are I think the more modern class of destroyers, so the more recently built. The problem is obviously the danger that they're putting themselves in, because we're now in a stern chase against the battle cruiser, and we're less than 5 knots faster than it. So it is relatively unlikely that we'll be able to catch her, and we have to get lucky every time. She only has to get lucky once and hit us with the big guns, and then these destroyers are going down to the bottom. We have closed into a range of 3 kilometers, and V-38 is starting to take some severely damaging hits from the big guns of the Colossus. Her stern is on fire. We're not sure if all the torpedo tubes are still operational, and it looks like we will have to give up the chase at this point, because the speed of the British battlecruiser is just too strong. We're going to lay smoke, set the torpedoes to aggressive, and try to push her away, and then we will disengage, because there's no way that Heimdall and Schleswig-Holstein can catch up with her. The speed that these British battle cruisers can output allows them to dictate the engagement and make sure that they can stay outside effective range of our ships at all points. So unless she wants to give battle, we are going to disengage and see that the destroyers can get out of here. We would have a heavy cruiser for the cost of 2 destroyers, unless of course the Colossus chooses to fight, in which case we are more than happy to oblige and try our best to slow the ship down for a more successful torpedo run. V-36 has taken a heavy hit from a large caliber shell from the Colossus, and we hope that the crew can make it out of there, but she is burning quite heavily from the center. And we're not yet sure if the Colossus is planning to give chase, or if she is ready to leave the engagement as well. It looks like she's now targeting Heimdall. So apparently she's not quite ready yet to leave the engagement. Or are these... No, yeah, these shots were meant for Heimdall. Heimdall does not have a great chance of hitting, but given the superior speed of the British, we don't really have any opportunity to dictate the dictate the battle, and we can only wait and see what the Colossus the captain of the Colossus is deciding to do, if he wants to keep engaging or if he prefers to end the engagement. As the sun is setting, we have lost contact with the Colossus. We have not been able to inflict damage on the ship, but we have managed to sink the Australia for the cost of 2 of our destroyers sunk and 1 of our destroyers damaged. All in all, this is still a victory for the German Navy, but we have learned we've learned some strong lessons. Ship speed is essential in order to be able to dictate the order of battle and the engagement, and our old battle cruisers are hopelessly outclassed when faced with what the British are fielding, which is almost twice their size. We will need to make some hard decisions around new ships, and we might have to do some urgent refits on the old ones in order to maintain the battle worthiness of our fleet.